What's up, everybody? Soren Baker here on Unique Access, and today for Best Albums we're joined by Young Hump. Thank you for coming through, sir.
My brother.
Yes, yes.
Facts.
So, straight from the underground, but Young Hump has selected one of my favorite, less known albums, 1994's album from the Beatnuts.
Talk about it.
Now, this album, before we even get to this album, it's called the Beatnuts, but it's also known as Street Level.
Super facts.
But it's not Street Level.
Super
The
facts.
album is actually called the Beatnuts. Now, prior to this, the Beatnuts had released the Intoxicated Demons EP, which came out the year before in '93.
Indeed.
So, Young Hump, as a fan, a diehard fan of the Beatnuts, I was very excited when you had told me during our interview for the Soren Baker show that you wanted to do a Best Albums on the Beatnuts album. So, as a Beatnuts fan,
Yes.
when you heard Intoxicated Demons, what made the Beatnuts stand out to you so much?
Everything. I mean, it's just they got their own particular way of doing everything. Everything about them is unique. The beats, the rhymes, just the texture, the aesthetic, the content, the way they handle things. You know, when you really pay attention, you can see it's like there's a difference between raspberries and strawberries. If you're a sucker, you don't know the difference. But Beatnuts, they're their own fruit.
And very distinctive too.
Facts.
And the thing that was interesting was not only a self-produced unit with 3 members at the time, which was starting to fade away in 1993, but by the time we get to the Beatnuts album in '94, what we're here to talk about today, the interesting thing is that was becoming less and less prominent. And we had, with Al Tariq, at the time known as Fashion,
Cool ass Fash.
who was in the crew. You also had Juju and Psycho Les, who doubled as the producers and rappers, of course.
Yeah, because it started off just Les and Drew, and then Fash came in, and then after this album slid away. So the core of Beatnuts is the two of them, but he has presence on this album, which makes it a unique thing in its own right too.
Absolutely.
He's on 1 or 2 songs on the first EP. And for the record, folks, we acknowledge the first EP as an album. In our heart, it sits like an album, Intoxicated Demon, but we acknowledge that it's called an EP.
And it is an EP.
It is an EP, exactly.
And one of the standouts from that, of course, is Reign of the Tech,
Woo!
which
The hard little pistol pack.
phenomenal record. But as far as the Beatnuts album, the eponymous album, and also the self-titled debut, it's got a lot going on with it. But one of the things that made me excited about it was the Beatnuts on the Beatnuts album, man. They've got that. They have a very distinctive mix of gangsterism, comedy,
Talk about it.
lyricism,
Facts.
and
Record appreciation.
by the sample usage. And they also weave in all this stuff, and this was at the end of that era where people sampled a lot, scratched a lot. This was one of those last albums that really, really did that on a major level.
Facts. And showcased all of it. I mean, the one song they got a scratch of Barbito on the hook. Or maybe it's a tape recording from the Stretch and Barbito show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they utilizing all the pause, mix energy, like all the classic rugged ways of MacGyver and some hip hop shit is on that album.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Panning 808s like this through the fried chicken. I know I'm jumping all over the place.
Well, let's go to fried chicken, man. That's
fried chicken.
with the Beatnuts. They were one of the groups too that
I love this guy.
is obscure and rare in the sense that their song titles didn't necessarily have anything to do with the chorus or the song.
Right.
So-
Well said. That's a really good point right there, guys.
So with fried chicken, what stands out to you about that song in particular?
Well, first off, just so many conversations like, yo, is that with the homies? Like, is that Barbito on the hook? Like from a freestyle off the radio or something? Like, what is that? Like, my favorite jam of all time is the Body Rock, right? Because if you know Bob's voice, I mean, forget about it. But that. Also, what I love about that song and the general thing that they do is they have really unique, precise vocal arrangement. Like, a lot of stuff is 16/8, 16/8, or guys say, fuck that, we going into, I'm gonna kick a 24, 32 bar verse and then just let the beat play. They have like 4, 4, 8, 4, 8, hook 4, 8, 8, 4, 4, 4. Like they playing with the arrangement, real production. real arrangement. So that's something that always comes to my mind. And of course, the panning drums that go like this, and the sound effects and the scratch. I mean, it's just.
And that's something that's important too, as you know, we are now in 2019. That I think it's important when people listen to music. One of the lost arts of listening to music is listening to it on a real stereo,
Facts.
whether that's on headphones or just actually having a quality system.
Right.
Because now with a lot of people listen on their phone, on their computer, or on janky earbuds or whatever.
Right. They don't get the
They
surround
don't get
sound.
that.
Yeah.
They don't get that. So where the scratch may only be in the left channel.
Right.
Like they don't get that.
Right.
And then when it pans and it goes to the right and it's a real like you're in a tunnel or something, you know, that's a lost art, man. And we see that a lot. But, you know, one of the things about the album too, to me, was with Props Over Here, the single, and probably arguably the most popular song because it was a single, but to me, it's a great song and I love it, but it's not even one of the best. It's to me one of the lesser songs on the album. How did you feel about it as far as how it fits, it being a single, all that stuff?
Well, I mean, that era, you know, it seemed like a lot of times, and not all the time, but a lot of times the single wasn't always the one that we as the heads was really checking for the most. So I always love that song. It's funny you say that though, because I've never, the only song that I've been able to like say is my favorite for a length of time, because that's one of them albums where I just, you know,
every song is great.
At 2 p.m. my favorite song is Hit Me, you know, is Rick's joint, right. And then at 5 p.m. my favorite song, you know, but it would be Let Off a Couple.
Okay.
I mean, click, click, bam, let off a couple, right. 1 for the beats, 2 for the trouble, 3 for my niggas getting ready to set it. World famous, man, forget it. And just so y'all know, Soren been holding on this, but this is off my wall. This is framed off my wall. I snatched this off my wall and brought it through today. I just didn't want to get in. Oh no, I want you to hold it and set it. Oh, say
your medallions.
Ah,
I didn't want to like.
I
didn't want to block all that greatness.
And I remember when I put it on the wall at first, I had this part on the wall.
Okay.
For a little while. Then I put it on this part. When I put it on this part, it was hard not to, but I had a whole era where this shit was on the wall.
As you should.
Facts, you know.
Now, the thing, too, as we're talking about a lot of the great songs, Let Off a Couple, there's so much gun talk on the album sprinkled in, as the Beatnuts do.
And not to interrupt you, I just got to add one thing, because we're going to segue away from Let Off a Couple. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Let Off a Couple felt like it was the first time just some straight butter loop without the added. Like the snare is just nice and light, but it's like it's almost like an easy listening kind of like it's just so mellow after all this. And I remember when I first heard it, just being like, "This is really, because I heard it at the time. It was just really nice to come in."
Well,
you know what I mean?
Hit Me With That also to me had a similar effect with that xylophone and the more.
The softer snare.
It was more subdued. It was sonically subdued in a way that, you know, as known for being rowdy and Reign of the Tech and all that other stuff.
Exactly.
Hit Me With That, I really liked it, and it was just so sonically separate in a lot of ways, and it had a different feel. But, you know, that just showed to me the mastery of what the Beatnuts did on the self-titled album, because they were able to do all these obscure samples and have this rowdy sounding music, but then at the same time with Hit Me With That, Let Off a Couple, they also had this more mellow vibe that was still hard and like eerie a little bit.
Yeah, and to correct myself, when I said that soft snare, I didn't mean, I was thinking of another song, because when you made the point about the song titles, sometimes my brain hears the song title and goes, because the song titles are, it's not that they're misleading, but I know what you mean. They're sort of like, you like, I know the songs top to bottom sonically, but sometimes the titles, you say Hit Me With That, and my brain, it goes into like that, y'all, and it's like, that's the wrong song.
Right. Because Hit Me Like That, as we see throughout the Beatnuts album, the Beastie Boys and the Wu-Tang are sampled throughout or referenced in some direct or indirect kind of way. Yeah. But arguably my favorite song, which has always been my favorite song, is Are You Ready? That one features Grand Poobah.
Come on.
And
come on, man.
So, man, Young Hump, man. Break it down. Are You Ready is just so phenomenal.
Grand Poobah Stud Doogie with the mad style, Beatnuts coming with the rugged, hey, watch out now. And what's funny about that is the Beatnuts through their albums have a lot of foreshadowing. So it's funny for Grand Poobah to say, Beatnuts coming with the rugged, hey, watch out now. And then Watch Out Now, years later, becomes one of their skyrockets.
Yeah,
right? So you got that. I mean, that song, I mean, come on, man.
I think the beat and the shake on that, whatever that was phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
But then I also liked, with Grand Poobah, obviously by this time he had left Brand Nubian, but the thing that on Brand Nubian, when he was in Brand Nubian, and even before that with Masters of Ceremony, we didn't hear Grand Poobah, and even on his solo records that much, he didn't sound so like hood street,
right,
like kind of like
right.
thug. He didn't bring that super thuggish element that he did really to here.
Right.
He did a little bit on Watch the Sound with Fat Joe. But
yeah, he got super loose with them. He said, no shame in my game, so Doogie, where the weed at? Like to say it, no shame in my game, so Doogie, where the weed at? He gave you the context, not just like, we smoking weed, like, no, I know, like, no shame in my game, so where the weed at?
Yeah, and he brought a different element to himself, but I think that also played nicely in the mix of the album, because Grand Poobah, his flow and his delivery is a little more buttery and fluid,
which gave the dynamics.
Yeah,
you know, and you make a good point there, because a lot of times, like on the one rapping in is what's happening, I was gonna say like Les rocks on the boo boo, the smooth part, but Jew gets on the fucking the boom boom, and he would always prefer to rap on the rugged part of the A section and the B section. He's fucking with the rough part, and it's like, so they always had those dynamics ever present, like always.
Yeah, and speaking of the dynamics, as we saw on the Intoxicated Demons EP, they also had, which was unusual too in rap, is, you know, and we're talking about 1994 when this album came out. There's a lot of huge records coming out, or had just come out, but the Beatnuts were making song snippets. And they did that on Intoxicated Demons EP. They did it a couple times here, but my favorite one that they did was Sandwiches.
Oh, come on, man. Yo, listen, you talking to a motherfucker like, I have the vinyl with the missing Juju verse.
Okay.
I mean, I remember when I first heard that, it's like after years and years and years of just, I mean, your man Psycho Les, oh man, this lady in the house, I make bitches make me sandwiches and scratch my ass with it. Just like he went into the comedy shit so very nice. Is that all right? Like, oh my God. That's another thing. They had the sandwiches. Keep going.
No, continue.
Oh man, sandwiches. It's like this, y'all. It's like this, y'all. I walked up to the wall and took a piss, y'all. Like, it was the combination of the classic, like, the classic style, but making it just super goon. Like, I walk up to the wall and take a piss, y'all. Finger pop the pee on top. I mean, come on, man. What? Oh, man.
And speaking of that, on the sexually explicit side, of course, they
Let's go. Fashion. Now we talking about fashion.
So Fashion, who weaves in and out throughout the album, even if Juju and Psycho Les are talking about some street stuff, somehow Fash always brings it back to sex.
Always brings it back to sex.
Which,
do your homework.
Which I thought was odd in this midst of gangsterism, but that they just, I guess they were like, let's appease this dude and let's just make this song. So then they did a song which...
let's go. Tyrone Davis, where you at? I know what's coming.
The sample is very familiar with people that know music. Compton's Most Wanted used it, obviously. But Lick the Pussy is the name of the song.
A song about eating pussy when it wasn't quite in style.
Yeah.
And have your man
way ahead of the time.
Cool ass fashion. I mean, come on, man. Psycho Les likes to lick the pussy. My man Lucien likes to... Rick Man likes to, I mean, come on, man. It's fucking incredible. And Fashion, I was reviewing. Fashion names about 4 chicks on the album. I'm standing in the same damn spot I fucked Shannon at. Another song, People's Sister, I think her name's Clarissa, I miss her. Like, I mean, he was serious. Like, I want you to know about Shannon. I was rocking, I mean, I can't remember the rest offhand, but yeah, he was serious. He was serious.
And it was unusual because most rappers rapped about not doing that. They made a song about specifically doing it. So when you're hearing that as a younger Young Hump coming up, what were you thinking? Like you were like, what was going on in your
I was
mind?
like, this motherfucker is serious. I hadn't eaten pussy at the time, and it was just like, whoa. It was just like, wow. And then it was amazing, you know, Stretch Armstrong likes to lick the, like he was calling some motherfuckers out. And I was like, wow. And I just remember like being like, did he ask all of them if it's okay he said that? But it was just amazing. And it was just, I mean, you would talk about being true to yourself as an artist.
Right.
You know, I respect that, you know, and I don't really even eat pussy like that. So but I respect it, you know what I mean? Big up to Tyrone Davis too, by the way.
Great sample.
Incredible.
Speaking of samples, that's something that's also throughout the Beatnuts album. And another song that I liked and that we've, as the evolution of rap has gone, we've gotten away from this type of song is the 2-3 break.
Come
where
on,
they
man.
change the beats throughout the
2,
verses.
3, break!
And all that.
People call me the drunk. Well, that's another beat. People call me the drunk or the thick funk distributor. Oh my God. People call me the drunk or the thick funk distributor. Oh my God. No, that shit, once again, fashion. I keep your hose wet like a fucking douche. That's how he ends the rap. I keep your hose wet like a fucking douche. 2, 3, right. I mean,
Right.
it's fucking incredible, man.
So now that we've gone through a lot of the record, as we look back on the Beatnuts self-titled debut album, Young Hump, what makes this one of the best albums ever made?
Wow. Okay. A couple things. Well, and you had started to say something about street talk, because that's about to go where I'm going. I don't know if did you get that off? Because I think okay. One of the things I like is just on a lyrical level. It's like you said. It's a beautiful mix of street talk, comedy, sex, record appreciation. You know, with bass like Ron Carter, they really let you know they were serious about the records. And a secret little thing to pay attention about the Beatnuts that I love is usually whenever they mention a record store or something, within a couple bars, if not the next line, they pulling the hammer out in the rap. They want you to know, you don't get the shit fucked up. You might see them, you know, but don't get it fucked up. They are not just nerds on some record shit. We nerds, but they was ready to back you down if you have anything to say against being an avid record collector. And but anyways, sidebar. But lyrically, they touched on all these things. So you would get this, like it's other motherfuckers that had comedy and other motherfuckers that had gun talk, obviously, but just the way they would all mix it up perfectly was just kind of unique to themselves. I mean, a couple lines that come to mind right now is when Psycho Les says, so with no hassle, if I catch you by my castle, if you're a bitch, I'll fuck you. If you're a nigga, I'll blast you. I mean, is something better than that in the world? Is something on Illmatic better than that? I mean, like, and then motherfucking Juju talking about one of my favorite Juju. He said, now I got you trapped, feeling weak and nervous. Word up, cause I be strapped like the Secret Service. Police run me down for the guns I be wielding. A murderer forced to get lost between buildings. Something, doing mad crimes. I remember the days well. The demon inside of me had invited me to raise hell. I mean, the styling. See, they had styles, still do. So much styles. Like a lot of dope ass rappers, they style get repetitive, but particularly Jew and Les had crazy motherfucking styles. And then after Jew say that, Les washes it down with, I don't want to have to snuff nobody. I just drank my 25th beer in Bacardi. Try to play me close and get roast, sucker. You know the next line.
Beatnuts.
Forever die hard, motherfucker. I mean, it was just the epicness. Like, he delivered it to you like it was the crescendo, the chorus, the big, like, the climax is what I'm thinking of.
Yep.
And it's just incredible, man. And I mean, there's so many lyrics that I think of that come to my mind when I listen to that shit. When Juju said, doing what I gotta do, and you notice my voice timbre, it's kind of like Juju, right? I sound good when I impersonate Juju. What's up, John God? Doing what I gotta do to obtain cash, accountable for more dead bodies than a plane crash. That's serious pen game right there. Doing what I gotta do to obtain cash. Who's saying obtain cash? When was the last time a nigga said, yeah, I gotta go hit this lick so I can obtain some cash? To obtain cash. Accountable for more dead bodies than a plane crash. Not just like I be making niggas look like a plane. I mean, just serious rap shit.
It's a street level.
Facts. Super facts. I mean, so that's one of the things on a production level, just the aggressive abstract. Like a lot of the shit that we call abstract isn't super aggressive. It'd be like more like quirky. Ooh, we're on some abstract.
Right,
but the, you know what I mean? But the Beatnuts shit be like, I mean, just crazy all over the place. Like it's hitting you, and that's a big one. Plus on top of that, my personal opinion, and I know people are gonna jump on this. It's my favorite album in terms of bass lines. Now, I'm from the West, and I know that we could have a whole argument on, you know, West shit with the P-Funk bass lines and all that, and I'm not saying, but let's just say on the East Coast, let's just make it easy for the West Coast niggas. What are you talking about? But bass lines, there's no album where the bass lines are fucking your head up like that. I mean, the boom, boom, I mean, from
Started off at the top, you don't stop. Dude. It's so much.
Incredible. And
Are you ready?
That's what I'm saying. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Motherfucking I mean, it just it's such a and it just when you compare hit me with that, I mean the bass lines are just stupid. And when you compare it to a lot of the albums that it would be compared to, I'm not trying to, you know, get into that. It's better than Midnight Marauders. I prefer it to Midnight Marauders, and I can tell you why. But I don't want to do all that like but a lot of like, I mean, I just said what I just said, right? So I'm not gonna, you know, I said that, and I stand by that. I think it's better than Midnight Marauders. That's me, personal. And I could go on. We don't have enough time for me to break it down because people are like, what you mean? But do your homework. Do your motherfucking homework.
And there it is, y'all. That's Young Hump. We got the Beatnuts self-titled album from 1994. If you're not familiar with it, we've gone through a lot of the album. Go check it out. Man, it's a masterpiece right here, man. I'm Soren Baker on Best Albums, Young Hump, the Beatnuts.
Super facts. And I'm over here just making sure if there's anything I didn't mention. Is there anything I didn't mention? I mean, they brought back Psycho Dwarf just to remind people who they are.
Yes.
And they probably said, you know, people need this. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. They brought back the most, how would you describe it? The most what of the Intoxicated Demons EP? The most,
I'd say gutterish.
the most, yeah, like I said, you know what, we're going to throw this on the album because we want motherfuckers to have that when they riding around. Because this is the cassette
And
tape
if they missed
days.
Intoxicated Demons, you know, maybe you get it.
That part. And let's go see, I'm glad you said that. Another thing, this has the remix to Props over here. Yeah, you get Props.
Yeah.
Like, who was doing it? Name how many albums can
And
you
putting it on the album.
on the album? That's what I'm saying. They had the remix on the album. This one was like, it was still the same energy, but they just literally went to like nighttime.
Right.
The remix sounds like you're like coming out of a project building at night and you looking around and you prepared for whatever. Like, they was on some shit that has really, ain't nobody else ever really was or since been on, man. Motherfucking Beatnuts, man, goddamn.
There it is, y'all. Young Hump, Soren Baker, Unique Access, the Beatnuts.
Salute. Hey, yo, Beatnuts, you get props over here.
Yeah, you get props.
Be sure to check out the History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
There will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
What's that 5 on your TV back with NWA?
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.